Welcome once again. Now let's take you through the newspapers and share with you the major stories making headlines across Nigeria this morning. We, of course, are going to be joined to x-ray these stories by our guest, analyst, Jide Ologun. Good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
Great to have you. We kick off this morning with the Punch newspapers. Let's see what we can find on the Punch. It says here, New Year message. APC tackles obedience as Obi alleges threat to life. Goes on to say, Obi playing politics of bitterness, says the APC. Nigeria transforming into a repressive regime, says the ex-governor Peter Obi. Northwest bandits fleeing to Oyo, Makinde cries out. That's, scary. And also retirement, top generals get $20,000, medical allowance, bulletproof SUV, and others. Called clash. Aida Tiwa declares curfew as mother and baby, ex-youth leader, others are killed. And also EFCC sacks 27 corrupt officers, probes $400,000 fraud complaint. Woman who cursed Sheyi Tinubu, IG, gets 10 million naira bail. And I think final story I'm going to take this morning. 33 ex-workers sue CBN over sacking as they demand 30 billion naira. Away from the Punch newspapers this morning, the Nigerian Tribune comes up next. It says here, New Year message, my life under threat, Obi alleges. ISWAP raids Borno military base, 6 soldiers feared killed. Ibadan stampede, justice must be done, says Governor Sheyi Makinde. Court orders Okpebholo, Edo Assembly to maintain status quo. Another 2 council chairmen impeached. Obasanjo, Abiodun, Daniel, Amosu, and others mourn as Madame Edionseri dies at 89. Army uncovers 20 illegal refineries, arrests 11 operators in 4 states. Tax reform bills, Governors Forum cancelled meeting 4 times, says Oyedele. And also, EFCC dismisses 27 officers for fraudulent activities and misconduct. We're going to start, Mr. Ologun, on the lead story this morning, obviously on the back and forth between Peter Obi, the Obedient Movement, and the ruling party APC. On the Punch, it says here, APC tackles obedience as Obi alleges threats to life.
Threat to life is a very serious issue. And apart from the fact that he is a public figure, I expect he should have gone to the relevant law enforcement agency, particularly the police, to register that concern. And when you talk about threat to life, there must be specifics. Who are those threatening his life? If he knows some of them, if there are things he has heard or messages he has received, then he should go to the police and register that. Otherwise, this will be considered as political statement just to whip up sentiment. But like I started, the preservation of life is the primary responsibility of man. Where, like they say, when there is life, there is hope. And when you look at the insecurity profiling of Nigeria, I think he has the right and the wisdom has been expressed to shout out. But then he must be ready to also indicate who is after his life, what has been said, what has he heard, what has been sent to him, so that we don't end up like the matter we have in court now, which is the case of Dele Farotimi and the senior advocate of Nigeria, Afe Babalola, who is now saying, okay, the claims you have made in your book, come and justify them. Because when you talk about Section 131 of the Evidence Act of Nigeria 2011, it says clearly that when you allude to some facts before the court of law, you have the burden of proof of those facts. So, but then I wish Peter Obi life to pursue his ambition. And I wish my country also, a security profiling, departure from what we currently have, being branded as an insecure society.
Yeah, like you said, the burden of proof, lies on him, and he also, of course, should approach security agencies if, there is seriously anything like that. But it's up to him to decide how far he wants to take, those threats. If he decides to only just mention, because, he probably wouldn't also have mentioned it, if this New Year message, blah, didn't come about. So let's talk about the response to the New Year message. Did he say anything that was out of place? To of course get the response that he's gotten from the APC's fan base.
Absolutely, in the political realm, you don't keep quiet because you have a teeming population of citizens, electorate, who are being schooled by politicians.
Yeah.
So you don't take any allegation for granted. So if anyone is coming out to say that the country is degenerating into this and that negativities, it's on the other party to rise up and defend. But then, like we say in public relations, that you cannot carve a rotten wood. So I always advise that when your critics come out bringing up issues of concern, you look at them. So if there's anything you need to do, why don't you do that positively? For instance, would it have been just a political noise to be claiming that our refineries were dead about 6 years ago? The answer is no, that was a fact. But right now, these refineries are being revived one after the other. So in life and in business, if you want to go far, you also must listen to your critics. But like I said, the burden is on the party in power now to defend her territory. Otherwise, many out there will conclude that the country has dwindled into oblivion, and politically speaking, you should not allow that. But perhaps...
But isn't that what opposition is about? Isn't opposition there to check the party in power, to be able to feel the pulse of the people and then make statements in that regard, sort of to make them feel like they're on their toes all through? Absolutely.
That is the role of opposition. But you see, the Nigerian democracy is a unique one. Sometimes the opposition that probably should have been handled with AK-47 is handled with submarine machine guns. So, and like I said, if you are not vigilant, the blow can be too much for you to handle. And that is why I also mentioned that the party in power should listen, because the facts are glaring. Are we talking about hunger? Hunger is there. Are we talking about the state of the economy? Those are realities that are there. And again, you try and promote your efforts in dealing with these situations. And I totally agree that the opposition is there to put the party in office on his or her toes. But it's sacrosanct to know that no party will just sit back and allow opposition to give all the blows without responding. I'm not so comfortable with that sometimes when I read those responses, because we studied it under rejoinder in communication. But then that is the way the politicians are. You recall what happened between the former governor of Edo State, Obaseki, and Oshiomhole, his former godfather. It even came to the point where the tantrums went to the personal level of whether the wife had a child or something like that. I mean, but that is Nigeria for you.
Yeah. All right, let's talk security now. ISWAP raids, it's on the Nigerian Tribune. It says ISWAP raids Borno military base, 6 soldiers feared killed. There have also been other stories. I think we took one in the news this morning when Zamfara communities have been, asked to pay 176 million naira to the bandits, to, of course, for protection or whatnot. And of course, it has led to many of them fleeing their communities if they are not able to pay. Also in the southeast, there's a report of that was put out by Professor Jide Ologun. So let's have your reactions to the ISWAP attack on the military base and all the security challenges.
It's quite embarrassing. You see, recently when Nigerian Republic came out with an allegation that Nigeria may be having a romance with France to allot space to the Lakurawas to invade Nigerian Republic, we have denied it, but I also advise we should look at it critically, because when you talk about insecurity, what Section 14, subsection 2 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 has amended says is very clear that the security and the welfare of the citizens shall be the primary purpose of government. And if we have come to the point where these terrorists, whether some choose to label them as terrorists or not, it's irrelevant now, are killing soldiers. If you compute the population of soldiers and law enforcement agents these people have killed, you'll be amazed. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And I hope that the onslaught against terrorism that the government has embarked upon will be sustained and escalated, because they have invested so much, these terrorists. Now, some of us started coming out to complain when around 2002, one Mohammed Yusuf arose in the Borno region, Maiduguri, and started a doctrine that Boko Haram, that Western education is forbidden. And he started indoctrinating some young Nigerians and some foreigners also that were available. And that is what has grown to this Islamic State of West Africa. And the terrorists across the world are investing in it, obviously. So because in 2009, it went haywire when their leader was taken out. So these are issues. And in industrial psychology, we talk about reinforcement theory. The failure of the government to tame that terrorism campaign initially has given them the oxygen to come to the level they are now. And let me bring a comparison. You also notice that in the southwestern part of the country, suddenly a group came up agitating for the Yoruba nations. And the Yoruba and Southwest elders said, no, they're not going to give you space to operate. You see, so I throw this back to the northern society. That, because when you talk about ungoverned spaces, there are many of them there. And what these terrorists do is that they go to these people that your government has not been able to provide for you, unable to secure you. Let us secure you, setting up pseudo government. In fact, in Niger State, the governor rose at a time to complain that about 83% of the local government areas that have been taken over by bandits. You saw how they operated freely at a time in Kaduna, Central, North, in Sokoto, and everywhere. So, and now that the tax reform bill is waking everybody in Nigeria, and some stakeholders, rightfully so, are claiming this will further throw our people into poverty, that they need to look at the foundation of the poverty there, which is, are you permissive to insecurity? But by and large, the president of the country is also the commander-in-chief, talking about Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So his responsibility is to secure the land. And he has the mandate under Section 5 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended that bestows executive power on him. So I expect that as a nationalist, he will rise up against this challenge. But I will let you know, again, by the concept of conditioning in industrial psychology, these terrorists have sold out to evil. But I pray that Nigeria will be able to tame them. And for the Southeast, I also started complaining when and advising the Southeast stakeholders when we were reading of a truck falling down in that environment and bullets and ammunition. And I kept on asking, who are those moving ammunition into this region? And I warned at the time, don't let those who are enemies of this state infiltrate your region. And here we are now. So Nigeria needs security to even attract the foreign direct investments we talk about.
There's too many. I mean, if you talk of security alone, we just had a security expert, join us. If you talk about security alone, there's too many aspects of, that whole conversation that you can tell that we don't seem fully prepared, to win this fight. Our porous borders, our lack of, numbers, look at our army strength, just about 200,000, less than 200,000. And, these people are spread thin across the country. Lack of, corruption, that still exists in the system, lack of proper equipment, to win this fight. This is a fight that has gone on for more than a decade. Do you believe that it is even winnable at this point?
It's up to the government. I intentionally mentioned the power available to the president, the executive power. Okay, on the day of his being sworn into office, he said subsidy was gone. Who contended with that statement? When Dangote was engaging NNPC Limited on the issue of paying for crude oil with dollars, the president came out and said, let him pay in Naira. He is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. He has the power. I mean, don't let us joke about this. We are talking about infrastructure. The former president, Muhammadu Buhari, spent billions of dollars to buy Tucano jets. Where are the jets? So I think we should be talking about the political will. And you brilliantly raised an issue. The insecurity also has political undertone. Of those who are out to destabilize. And if you are in office and some are resolute to destabilize your operations, then you must rise up also to destabilize them. And permit me to roll in the issue of Nehemiah in the scripture, who came back from diaspora to rebuild the wall of Jerusalem, and some enemies rose up to challenge him in opposition. He also raised his own army and positioned them proactively. You see any one of them, you take them out. You see, just like the question you asked, I'm concerned. The GMD of NNPC Limited came to the National Assembly at a time and was expressing frustration. How about 5,000 illegal pipes are connected to NNPC pipeline, how they have deactivated about 4,000 illegal refineries, how they have arrested different liters of stolen crude oil. In fact, he confessed there that they are overwhelmed. Meanwhile, a contract has been given to Tanchita Limited of 48 billion naira per annum. I mean, it's embarrassing. A whole nation, we are not talking of a local government. Nigeria is a nation. That some non-state actors, perhaps in conjunction with some state actors, we hold the nation down in poverty when we have so much to benefit in terms of potential. So it's only whether you are we have listened to different kinds of expressions. Oh, we are going to win this, not with kinetic, but non-kinetic. This at a time, the former chief of army staff, Brotai, says Sambisa Forest will be turned to military training, whatever. But when this man was going out, he spoke that we may not win this terrorism war in the next 20 years. And let me also underscore the political undertone I mentioned. And that's why I'm glad this tax reform is waking up some people now to look retrospectively into our environment and look into the future. In 2013, Muhammadu Buhari, who later became the president of Nigeria in 2015, stated that clamp down on Boko Haram was injustice to the North. And he later became president. So where did you expect his bias to rest? So when you don't deliberately engage insecurity, you remain in insecurity. So the Nigerian case is such that the major stakeholders should come together now, throw ethnicity aside, focus on the economy. And the fact that, in a poverty environment, crises are inevitable. You can read about the crisis we have in the country, kidnappings, killings, and different kinds of things. Yeah. So here we are.
All right. EFCC cites 27 corrupt officers as it probes $400,000 fraud complaint. If you can just do this in 1 minute.
Yes. If you look at Section 15, subsection 5 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, it states clearly that the state shall abolish corrupt practices and abuse of office. So it's another. And when an agency that is saddled with fighting corruption and economic and financial crime is also engrossed. Having some of the elements there that are corrupt, the best thing to do is to, take them out, like Achan was taken out by Joshua in the Bible, for victory to return, because it's very important that those who are fighting corruption should be seen to be above board. So it's the way to go.
Yeah, but also not a surprising story. I mean, nobody read that and was shocked at all.
Exactly. It's a global thing in Nigeria that corruption appears to be spreading.
Yeah. All right. Jide Ologun, thank you very much for your time this morning and for joining us.
Thank you too.
Yeah.
God bless Nigeria.
I wish your views were more uplifting, and gave more hope to Nigeria, but it doesn't seem, if we're being real with ourselves, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of light at the end of, this tunnel coming.
No, my counsel is that there should be light all through the tunnel, not just at the end, because many may give up within the journey.
All right, we've shared with you what our guest has to say, and of course, our thoughts as well. Now let's share with you what Nigerians are saying. Stay